This is PRIME7 Local News with Madeleine Collignon, Kenny Hinkley and meteorologist Carl Linders with your local weather. Now, PRIME7 Local News at 6.
Tonight, police heartbreak as they gather in Wangaratta to farewell one of their own.
Ambulance officers are also suffering. They say promised support has not arrived.
No charges, but no guns either. The fight continues for the border's self-defence farmer.
And a cool end to the working week. Your weather details coming up.
Good evening. Police officers came from across the state to Wangaratta today to farewell the latest officer to lose his life to suicide.
Like so many before him, Highway Patrol Officer Gavin Frew showed no signs of trauma before he died. Grieving family, friends and colleagues now hope his death will encourage other police who are suffering to seek help.
Officers line the street of Wangaratta in silence. A guard of honour to farewell a much-loved colleague and friend. Leading Senior Constable Gavin Frew died last Saturday. He was 48. Serving at Horsham since 1998, he moved to Wangaratta in 2012. His sudden death, without warning, has sent shockwaves through the policing community. Inside Our Lady's Catholic Church, family and friends celebrated the life of a man they affectionately described as a lovable idiot. A fun-loving officer, the latest to struggle with the pressures faced each day by those on the front line. They hope his tragic death will spur others facing similar struggles to now speak up. His call sign, Wangaratta 610, has now been retired as a mark of respect to a man who touched so many lives. Josh Ribberich, PRIME7 News.
If you or a loved one needs support or information about suicide prevention, call Lifeline on 13 11 14.
Sadly, the border's ambulance officers also suffer psychologically and emotionally, a result of the traumatic events they witness on a day-to-day basis. The state government promised funding for counselling and support services for our paramedics back in February. They're still waiting.
John McCormack has seen a lot in his years as a frontline paramedic in Albury. Road trauma, domestic violence, suicide, 4 in the last week. It takes a toll.
Paramedics go home, they have to sleep with those thoughts every day, day in, day out, and we just don't have time to absorb that information.
Now, for John, it's finally become too much. He's been diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. John never received the counselling and support which might have helped him deal with the things he saw.
It has a huge toll and affecting their ability to operate both in the family, socially, at work.
Earlier this year, the New South Wales government announced $20 million to support under-pressure paramedics. John says locally, they haven't seen a cent.
The service has actually suggested doing some psychological training locally down here in Albury. However, that's just been dismissed by local management to say that these support services are already in place and already underway. However, we're not seeing any of these.
Anyone needing help should call Lifeline or 000. Eleanor Tabone, PRIME7 News.
Bungawana farmer who used an unloaded rifle to scare off an armed intruder has been told he won't face any charges. Police confiscated David Dunstan's 3 guns and his gun licence. He's still yet to get them back. Josh Ribberich is outside Albury Police Station now. And Josh, Mr Dunstan's not facing any charges, so surely it's only a matter of time before this matter is over.
Well, I wouldn't be so sure, Maddie. It's been 3 weeks since Mr Dunstan's guns were seized and it doesn't look like he's going to be getting them back anytime soon. Now his wife Andrea has also had restrictions placed on her gun licence. She won't be allowed to have a firearm anywhere that her husband resides or frequents. That means their home and farms where he works. Mr Dunstan maintains he didn't use excessive force. He says he's frustrated he's been punished for defending his family. It's now just a waiting game and hopefully common sense prevails. Maddie?
All right, thanks for that, Josh. Josh Ribberich there in Albury.
Police have today charged a Wangaratta man over the death of a pedestrian earlier this year. Major collision detectives say the woman was struck by a truck and killed near Warby Street, Wangaratta, shortly after 8 a.m. on January 16. The 27-year-old man was today charged with 1 count of dangerous driving causing death. He'll face court in December.
A piece of Albury's history has finally returned home where it belongs. A new exhibition's been launched at the Library Museum. A series of letters written by soldiers from Albury who experienced firsthand the atrocities of World War I.
They've been well preserved for more than 100 years. Kept in a suitcase belonging to Frank Brown, at the time a young man living in Albury. Letters which were found some 30 years after his death by his granddaughter Cheryl Ackhurst, who donated them to the Albury City Museum and Social History Collection to share with the community.
I do hope people see them as voices from the past, not just bits of paper and old bits of writing, but living young men who could have had a future here.
Albury City Mayor Kevin Mack launched the display at the Library Museum this morning. It's hoped the harrowing accounts will help explain to future generations what war was really like, from those who lived it.
It's a great opportunity for us, to present this as part of the centenary, but also for the message to be conveyed to that generation, and for us to also commemorate and look after the letters and preserve the letters for the future.
Captain Leslie Hewish was one of the soldiers who was killed in action on this day in Belgium in 1917. A reading from some of his accounts was given to mark the 100-year anniversary of his death. The letters will now be preserved here at the Library Museum. The families of those who wrote them want them to be a lasting reminder of their sacrifice. The collection of more than 30 letters is also available to be viewed online. Jessica Gledhill, PRIME7 News.
A newly retired Rutherglen couple have become overnight millionaires after winning Tuesday night's Oz Lotto. Locals say the $15 million win is great for the small community and has inspired others to dream big.
What would you do if you won the lottery?
Maybe a new house and maybe a holiday.
I would do that too, probably, house and holiday, but I would also, like to think I'd give some to my kids.
Need a drink to start with, a strong drink.
For one Rutherglen couple, that question now has 15 million answers. The mystery couple came into the major windfall on Tuesday night, but had to wait until yesterday morning for an official call.
Everyone's been coming in and sort of asking, oh, who was it?
It's great news for the Rutherglen News and Lotto, whose owners have only been living in town for just over a year. They now hold bragging rights to selling a Division 1 ticket.
With this yesterday too, we had another $12,000 payout as well, so it's just going from boom to boom at the moment. We seem to be the lucky shop.
The couple played the same numbers for years until finally they hit the jackpot. They now plan to kick off their win with an overseas trip to Europe. Paris, Rome and London are all on the cards for the retired husband and his wife. Their win sparking new hopes that another Rutherglen millionaire could be just around the corner.
There's many things I'd spend the money on, but I don't know, 15 million, be pretty hard to spend it in a hurry.
It's really nice actually, just to think you had a bit of a part in changing someone's life so much. I hope they enjoy.
Josh Ribberich, PRIME7 News.
You know, I reckon if Carl Linders won the lottery, he would have his own weather satellite launched or something like that, his name on a weather radar or something.
And then he would give the rest to us, obviously.
No, he didn't.
That's enough, you two.
So, Carla, we had a bit of a cool change today.
Very much so, guys. Hello, everybody. Yes, wouldn't it be nice to be a millionaire? Looking at the temperatures, though, 18 degrees in the southwest today. The change came through a bit earlier than expected in those areas. 18 at Wangaratta, 22 for Beechworth, 25 at Myrtleford. Nice day today in those warm north-westerly winds earlier on, and still quite warm over alpine areas. Satellite picture does still have a band of cloud stretching through the southern interior of Australia. Not much rain with the first band. We've got cooler southwesterly winds now moving in from the west, and they'll ease up overnight. Easterly winds for the start of the weekend, so temperatures will start to bounce back, but a thundery change on Sunday is going to dampen things down and get things quite cool as well, guys. So a mixed bag coming our way. Take you through all that and a look at Bathurst as well.
Look forward to it. Thanks, mate. See you soon.
Still to come in PRIME7 News, why an Aldi store is closing its doors.
And the gadgets designed to make life easier for our senior citizens.
Two Lavington residents were lucky to escape after fire broke out in their laundry this afternoon. Neighbours alerted authorities after seeing smoke coming from under the front door. The blaze was fuelled by flammable liquid which was stored in a laundry cabinet. It's prompted a warning from firefighters to keep things like fuel, spirits and bleach in a shed or outside.
At home you've got many ignition sources. You've got any motor that starts to kick in, it can actually be an ignition source for a flammable liquid. So,
the residents will have to replace their whole laundry and have the house assessed by an electrician.
Wangaratta's Aldi supermarket will close its doors for 10 days later this month. The store will be brought in line with some of the newer city stores when it gets upgraded shelving, bigger produce bays, energy-efficient chillers and new LED lighting. It will close its doors at 5 p.m. on Sunday, October 22 and reopen on the morning of Thursday, November the 2nd.
Computers and technical gadgets aren't just for the young. In fact, they can be a great help for senior citizens as well. The Sight, Sound and Getting Around event marked the beginning of Victorian Seniors Month and is part of a series of demonstrations aimed at making life easier for older Australians.
From talking clocks to pen friends, these were just some of the latest gadgets on display at the Sight, Sound and Getting Around show.
This is the first of a series of events that we're having throughout the month, and we're showing seniors in the district some of the fantastic gadgets and devices that are available these days.
The day was an opportunity for Wodonga seniors to test out the latest gadgets, technology and techniques available when it comes to seeing and hearing.
We're all getting older, so I think as we get older we need to look after our health. We need to be able to continue to access the community, get out and about and not isolate ourselves because of a vision loss or a hearing loss.
The star of the day was Angela. The cuddly companion retired from her work with early onset dementia patients in December last year. She now works for Vision Australia as an ambassador seeing eye dog. Australian Hearing has teamed up with Vision Australia for Victorian Seniors Month and hope by bringing more awareness to hearing health, more people will be encouraged to have their hearing checked.
There does seem to be a little bit of stigma around hearing loss. At the moment within Australia 1 in 6 people have got a hearing loss. That's expected to rise to 1 in 4 by the year 2050.
Sight, Sound and Getting Around will be at Wangaratta Library on October 18th and in Bright on October 25th as part of the Victorian Seniors Month. Jessica Gledhill, PRIME7 News.
Local vets have issued a warning for pet owners to keep an eye out for ticks, bites and dehydration as the weather starts to warm up. Already this spring, a number of cats and dogs have presented in vet emergency departments with snake bites and the deadly parvovirus.
And the big message there for pet owners is to not be complacent. If there's any concerns potentially that your dog's collapsed, had a vomit, has been out in the paddock and yelped or chased something, to definitely ring your vet and get advice.
As it gets hotter, it's also important to measure pets' heat stress when exercising to avoid dehydration. And finally, it's also important to include all pets from goldfish to horses in the family bushfire plan.
Still to come in Prime7 News, we've got all the action from the first practice session at Bathurst.
And the Border League legend who's coming home. One of Albury's biggest rugby league exports has come home to lead his old club. Adrian Purtell has landed on the border, determined to take the Albury Thunder back to finals football.
It's a resume unrivalled by any Albury League export. A 100-game NRL career with Canberra and Penrith, followed by a number of years with the London Broncos and the Bradford Bulls. But now Thunder favourite son Adrian Purtell is returning to where it all began.
It's always been a desire to come home. I love Albury and I used to love playing here at Greenfield Park. So it's always been something that's been in the back of my mind, and the time was just right now.
Purtell will play for and coach the Albury Thunder next year and has now arrived back on the border. The 32-year-old admits he had a season to forget at the London Broncos, and the lure of returning home to play with and in front of family and friends proved too hard to resist.
My mum used to drive up to games in Sydney, and you know, she makes a joke about it that she only has to drive 5 or 6 minutes now, so hopefully she doesn't miss the game. But I think that's the biggest thing for me, getting home to Albury and playing in front of family and friends, and hopefully we have a successful year.
The Thunder missed finals this season in the seniors, but had a hugely successful year in the junior grades, and Purtell wants to nurture that young talent on and off the field.
Also just my life experience. I mean, I played at a couple of NRL teams and lived over in England for 6 years. So if any of the boys have any questions, whether they're footy related or not, hopefully I can help them develop as people and as players.
Purcell has signed a 1-year contract but hopes he can play for a number of years at Greenfield Park if his body holds together, and has plans to lure some new talent to the Thunder this off-season as well. Fletcher Doherty, PRIME7 News.
Supercars series leader Scott McLaughlin's had a win even before he hit the track at Bathurst. He took on some of Australia's best video gamers and beat them.
Scott McLaughlin is king of the mountain at video games anyway. He took on the best gamers last night in the first ever Bathurst esports event.
I think the boys enjoyed the action that they could see in the background.
One driver was nervous heading in.
I'm not going to lie to you, I'm actually packing my backs. I'm not a very good gamer. I like to have a crack every now and then, but no, I'm actually excited as well. It's to be put in a different level of competition. It would be pretty cool, and it'll be good to see what the other drivers' skills levels are like too.
While Shane Van Gisbergen hasn't played a game in years.
So I haven't played PlayStation for a few years, so yeah, having a go again.
Thousands of people tried for the final 8, and these were the best. They're part of the rise in popularity of esports.
Now you're seeing a lot more live broadcasts, and it's becoming more and more popular, and in that, and what they're showing in these shows that they're putting on, that it is really competitive, and these guys have really genuine talent and skills in any game that they're playing on esports.
Time will tell if the fastest on the simulator is the fastest on Sunday. Tom Corrigan, PRIME7 News.
On track, Brad Jones Racing crews have another wreck and rebuild to deal with after Tim Slade's Commodore hit barriers in the S's. He wasn't the only one to bite the dust on the opening day.
Mount Panorama has claimed its first victims. Tim Slade and Alex Rullo were the unlucky ones.
Big crash here, car 14 in the fence. That's just before the dipper. Check this out. So he's got it loose in the left-hander, skated in, and then it whacks the wall on the outside. That's another disaster for Brad Jones Racing.
The youngest man on the track was the next to crash. Alex Rullo hit the wall too.
Maybe this tells a little more of the story. Yeah, he has hit the wall hard on the exit of Forest's Elbow.
2014 Bathurst winner Chaz Mostert clocked the fastest time in session 1.
And now Mostert eclipsed that time, up 4 spots with a 6.3, plays a 6.6 for Fabian.
No, we just kept tuning the car. Felt a little bit nervous out there to start with, but yeah, it feels pretty good out the box. But it's just so fun to drive around here. It doesn't matter what you're in, if it's a GT car, a production car, or a supercar. It's the best track we have here. So it's I had a lot of fun out in that session. Wish it could have just kept going. It's hot out there, but I was just having a lot of fun.
And yet again, the Brad Jones Racing crew is on the clock repairing another car. Tom Corrigan, PRIME7 News.
Defending Bathurst champion Will Davidson arrived on the mountain with a question mark over his future. His deal with Techno Autosports expires at the end of the year, and bigger teams appear spoiled for choice with other up-and-coming young drivers. So defending his title may also be defending his future. All the talk has been on the matchup between Dick Johnson Racing and the 888 Racing team. Despite being a 2-time Bathurst winner, Will is an underdog and he doesn't mind.
You know, they probably are the favourites, but we all know what this race is, and we know what we're capable of if we get our car in the window and we make no mistakes, and listen, we're confident that we'll be there or thereabouts when it counts.
With all the focus off him, Will is confident they can make it back-to-back come Sunday. A cooler end to the week on the way. Stay with us. Carla's up next with the very latest weather forecast. Before we get to the weather, we have some big breaking football news. Albury's star forward Josh Mellington is on the move. The dual Doug Strang medalist has signed with the Caroline Springs Lakers for the 2017 and 18 seasons. Mellington kicked over 200 goals in just 2 seasons with Albury and will leave a big hole in their forward line. Lakers coach and former Collingwood star Brodie Holland announced the star signing over Facebook today. Let's get a quick check of the forecast now with Carl Linders.
And Carl, temperatures started to cool today, and
Yep.
we are going to continue to see them dropping over the next
That's
couple
right,
of
a
days.
little reprieve from the warmth of the week, Maddie. We've got clear skies though, so not unpleasant conditions, but certainly a noticeable chill in the air to start the end of the working week as high pressure starts to ridge in from the west. So southerly winds developing. Cloud will start to thicken up from the northwest tomorrow afternoon. No rain's expected until probably Sunday at this stage. We can see quite a lot of thunderstorm activity in New South Wales drifting down. Cold front will pick that up on Monday and clear it out of the region by Tuesday. More high pressure through on Wednesday, Thursday, then another change coming through with a good chance of showers and storms, and yet another complex coming in from the west at the end of the sequence. Certainly choppy and changey weather. Let's have a look at the Bathurst 1000 conditions for Sunday midday. We've got heavy rain still progged in our computer model here. Heavy falls, some thunderstorms around. That will drift through the region by the time we get through race time, and then steady rain from there on into Monday. Rainfall is certainly picking up across the western slopes of the Great Dividing Range, including Victoria. So the rain is set to return to our skies from Sunday. But before then, lovely conditions to end the working week with southerly winds easing, and over alpine areas very low risk of some snowfalls, but I think really just a flurry or two. Temperatures around 20 degrees at Wagga, 23 degrees for you in Shepparton, and tomorrow out in the east still quite cool to start with, but temperatures coming back up again as we get the thundery rain on Sunday afternoon from the northwest. It will come in from about 3 p.m. onwards, and a pretty wet night on the way. 15 to 25 millimetres on that band is possible, and that'll persist into Monday along a cold front, so a further 25 is possible on Monday, and then a thundery change returning on Wednesday. But temperatures, as you can see, guys, are quite mild.
Yeah, right. And that rain, I mean, that's going to be the most that we've seen in quite a while.
Yeah, very welcome falls. We've had a bit of a dry spell through the region, so we need some more.
Excellent.
For the gardens.
Thanks, mate.
And that's all we have time for tonight. You can join the debate on tonight's stories on Facebook.
And catch tonight's top stories on our website. Thanks so much for watching. Coming up now, 7 News from Melbourne. Have a great night.